Road to Master Rank. So we've been playing this deck for quite some time on Master since last season. It's a deck that's kind of like Stardust Bystial, except you incorporate the Runick cards just to have like a little bit of a interactive gameplay, not just build your board and you can't play. Stardust Bystial is similar in the sense that it's very interactive too, very mid-rangey in the sense that it doesn't really do an insane board. It just does enough, right? And you interact with your Bystials and your hand traps. But in this case, you just interact with your Runick cards. And the good thing about the Runicks is that they banish the top card of your opponent's decks. So then turns on the spatter. The objective is very similar. You try and get to the spatter or a level 10 Dragon Synchro so you can trigger your Converging Wills Dragon to then summon the other level 1 dragon from your deck, which is most likely always going to be Brotar. And then Brotar bridges your Runicks and your Stardust and your Synchron cards into your Bystials, assuming you didn't have access to them. And then you end on your MAJESTIC, and then try to control tempo that way. Have Fountain be there. It's a bit unfortunate that it's at 1 on Master Duel, but in TCG we have it at 2, which is a little bit better because it lets you chain block a few things, like being able to go Fountain, Chainlink 1, Hugin, Chainlink 2, to add another Fountain, just to block the Ash, which is something quite relevant. And SP is a very important card in this deck for sure, because you don't get a battle phase, so you gotta ensure that you can pick your board apart and not let them accumulate all these resources, because it's a bit much sometimes. Like, they get to keep their boss monsters, they get to keep their monsters to link summon with, their NIPs. Like here, for whatever reasons, this guy's playing IP or SP, then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be forced to interact with it, which is like, you just prevent that altogether, just pick it apart, which is why Beast is so important as well. I know most decks that play Bystial cards, they generally don't play Beast, they only play Regained, but I'm a big fan of Beast for sure, because going second, it lets you just pick boards apart, and in this deck in particular, it allows you, oh, it sucks. Milling, I guess it's not the worst when you mill Converging Wills if you have double Bystial. Or even if you have a Bystial in general. If you have Bystial and Stardust and you mill Converging Wills, it's not the worst because you can just revive it and then still get to your SMSD. So it's not the worst. It's not the worst. But yeah, so like Beast is just insane because it allows you to just pick their board apart and not let them accumulate resources. Because that's, you notice that with Runicks, like you can like pick the board apart with your flashing and your destruction. That's basically it. And sometimes you need to use this to summon your Hugin or your other fusions. So it's like, it's a bit odd. So having that spar move is quite important. Same thing with Chaos Angel and Cheng Ying. Because you need to ensure that once you've skipped your battle phase, you're able to like finish the game off after you've picked your board apart, because they keep everything. You can be in a predicament, and then that's something you want to avoid. It's so good, Druids and Beasts. It's just so cool. Look at that. Just negate that, and it's basically over. And return it, just draw a card. That's wild. Horus. I was going up against a few of these decks. Horus variants, like stun variants, like with floodgates, and they can be a bit problematic because most of the Horus cards have an effect. If any of their cards is removed by your doing, they just trigger and they all get insane effects. Like someone lets you add back 2 cards from your graveyard to your hand or banish. One of them sends a card. It's just crazy what they do. So it's can be a bit troublesome, but there's ways around it, and Evenly is one of those cards that just helps you play through that. Oh, that's where I was kind of worried that he had Secret Village. I was like, oh, wow, this is because the Spellcaster. I was like, well, that's not gonna be good because All my deck is spells. That's how the deck functions. You know? I guess there's ways around it if we can get to a Bystial and a Stardust, and then play off of that. But look at that. Evenly gets rid of the. Keeps the set. It must be a floodgate. Surely that's a floodgate. I'm not sure which one, but it's obviously gonna be a floodgate. And I don't have no way to clear it. My only way to clear it is if I get to a beast, right? Send the regain, and he flips a skill drain. So now I have to plan my way out of the situation, which is generally gonna be deck thinning, and then trying to get to maybe another evenly, just to prevent a push, or just go for seals, right? So put some damage in, and then try to seals bounce it during the end phase, and then try to go for game after that, because he's on 2000. And this is what I do here: end phase, seals, summon, but then he has another floodgate. There can be only one. I was like, well, now let's try to pick this board apart. I'm gonna get Fountain back, just to stay in the game, replenish my resources. Yeah, also I need to banish that. Freeze and summon Hugin, add back, draw 2, going to SP. Banish is, I don't know, just banish that for whatever reason. I'm not sure how relevant that is, but just banish it, get it out of there. Draws, and he goes Lava Golem, and he goes evenly, but I don't have a battle phase, so like, I don't know, but I guess he just didn't want to like, get destroyed with his own monster. I'm forced to pass here, and he passes as well. I was like, whoa, these tactics are pretty dead though. I draw into tip, that's pretty nice. And I go for. I think I'm gonna pop his back row. Pretty sure I pop his back row. Right? Pop his back row. I knew it was a skill drain because I bounced it. Draw 2 more. Illumination in this deck, in this variant, it's not really played, but I really like it just for the fact that it gets a light to the graveyard. Sometimes you don't want to banish your Lumelion. It opens up your Bystials, which is really nice. And then post Ale, like a Raven Light, when you resolve it, it's a good thing to search off of Stardust, assuming you already opened it, because that means that if you're forced to use Stardust effect, he's crashed himself. He's going out on his own terms. But let's say you open up Stardust and you have to use the effect, then you just simply make it SMSD. If you have a second Bystial, you summon the Bystial, revive your Lubellion, right? Affect Lubellion, place the beast. Obviously, maybe you'll most likely have Regain in the graveyard as well, because that's generally what you want to do. Get at least SMSD with beast, Regain, and Arriving Light on the field. It's just general basic setup. But once you get to that point, you've already used Stardust effect to tribute, so it's banished. So then you just go Arriving Light, summon Stardust from the deck, right? Because sometimes you don't even have access to Dispatter, which can be. Oh, this is crazy. This is the cool thing about evenly, because the thing with Runick cards is that at face value you're like, well, how the heck are you going to use evenly when Runick prevent you from having a battle phase the moment you use them? Well, this is exactly how you use it. You can use Runicks in the battle phase and skip the next battle phase, right? Of course, there's some issues when you use it turn 3 because you can't, so it's like it's almost a dead card, but most often than not it's just gonna be a discard. That's gonna be like your discard, so just view it that way. But for the most part, just to get rid of an insane overwhelming board, and then you basically bait with your Runicks, and then you go evenly and you simplify the game, say that way, and hopefully by then you control with Fountain, or you get a Bystial, or even if you have like Stardust Bystial, you just do your board. And double SMSD is sufficient enough, right? Because then you just bridge into your Bystials, and you get to Lubellion, then you get your Regain and Beast, and then that's generally how it's meant to go, right? You equalize everything. It's an equalize, right? You just go, okay, banish everything. It's really good. I've really liked how it functioned in this deck. Resce-ACE, he just bricked, just chain to that. Okay, get rid of his Hydrant. Tactics, draw 2. I wanted to draw 2 because I wanted to draw into more to the Runick aspect, but I just didn't draw into it. I didn't really want to look at his hand because obviously it was either hand traps that he was waiting to use, or because it wasn't combo, because he would have just done it on my turn. Then he just plays. And this evenly just loaded here. Yeah, drop the maxi, he has nothing to stop it. Goes in turbulence, sets 4, but this evenly just gonna be there and do exactly what it was meant to do. Because I don't have a battle phase, but he does. And I just use it on him. It's pretty insane. This card's insane in this deck for sure, because there's ways to push it. If it's a deck that can't really like bait interactions for evenly to resolve, then it's a bit different, right? It's a bit different in that sense. But if you can, because another thing as well is on the Master Duel we have Baron, so you have to bait the Baron somehow to ensure that evenly resolves. In TCG, not so much because Baron's banned, so we don't really view it there. But for the most part, in Master Duel, it's just good to be able to go freezing, go into flashing, or just go into any Runick, crash your Gary. It dies, it triggers engrave, you pop Baron, then negate the Baron, you go evenly, and then you just play after. Play an adventure. The good thing about this is you can't bounce my Shooting Majestic because of arriving and bounce it. That's hilarious. So he just passes, and I'm like, oh, well, I need to try and go for a fountain play here, but then I'm not sure what he does. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, let's go SP. SP banish the Fateful. I was expecting him to negate that with Griffin, but why would he? Because then I would just chain B, and then it would resolve anyway. So it was, I guess, it was smart that way. But the fact that I can negate his Griffin with MSD and didn't respond is huge. You'll see why. There's no point in negating it, but like, might as well, because then I just pop off from here. Hit it with sprite effect and scoops. But once again, this deck is not really explosive deck. It's just like a mid-range control deck, right? Because like end board is cool, but it's not like insane like regular Synchrons is, right? It's not like Venture Synchron where you do an insane board, hand rip twice. Like, it's not as insane. Right here, seeing as I know what he might have, I tried to plan for this, but I didn't plan for the trap. I was fair enough, but my main goal was to chain to the XYZ and then banish his XYZ, and then have like a tempo control with my Bystials. Because I have access to tuning, so I knew that this is inevitable, and I have access to Beast, so I can pick the board apart. And phase, that's cool. Send the regain, place the regain. It's just at this point, it's like, okay, it's pretty insane. Go for the tuning, draw a card. Okay, you Stardust, that's pretty insane. Tuning mill maxi, and it's over. I was going up against a lot of Resce-ACE in Diamond. It's pretty wild. I didn't know this was Resce-ACE though. I thought it was just Snake Guy. So I was like, okay, should be okay. Maybe, not really. Because I have Tip. Tip can mainly contest the Appaloosa. But Appaloosa not much of an issue. But then I was like, oh, he's playing Resce-ACE. Okay, it's fair enough. But I feel like Fountain, Tip, and Callby seems okay. But then I'm thinking about the set 4. And dealing with the Appaloosa. I'm like, the heck am I going to do this? I was like, I need to draw into an evenly matched to have a chance. But then the way it unravels is pretty wild. Sets 4, and this is intimidating right here. This is why evenly is insane. Because this evenly just clears here. So then I draw for turn. I draw another Tip. I was like, well, okay. Let's see. I was not expecting to get as far as I did. Go for Tip. freezing the Appaloosa. He chains. Okay, that's okay, fine. I just want to draw 3 here. That's what I want to do. I just want to draw 3, see how far I can get. I'm not really expecting this, but then I was like, okay, there's something here. And then the call by gets the hydrant. I was like, okay, fair enough. Okay, he negates my effect. Okay, and then I try to climb here, and then I'm like, well, I wouldn't be wise to go for SMSD here. I think I have to go for like a Baron or Changing. But then he just pops my guy, and I'm like, okay, let's draw. So I activate tuning, and I mill a runic spells. Okay, that's fuel for next turn. So once I'm here, I'm like, okay, well, I once again, I wasn't expecting to do well here. I was like, okay, I survived, but like, I need this tip to be insane. This is I needed to do something preemptively, but I was like, okay, he's for Phoenix, right? So he doesn't get the draw here. He doesn't pop it. I get to draw. I messed up here though. I was meant to go Channeling 1, Fountain, Channeling 2, Regain. Luckily, he didn't have Ash, because I would have gotten punished there, and then I would have just lost, because I wouldn't have drawn to my Nib here. This Nib is huge. It's a 1-of, but that's why it's in here for this particular reason, for these situations. Like if whatever reason I maxi him or I draw 3 of on Runick and I go boom, and I trigger the Ultra Guy Synchro. It comes back. It's so good. And then we go up against FARFA. This was funny. This is so hilarious. I was grinding like at 3, 2 in the morning because I was locked in. I was in the zone. I was like, okay, I was on a winning streak. I wasn't gonna get off until I got to master rank. Following morning, continue on master rank. And then I get a Discord ping, and I was like, what the heck? And then FARFA's like, good. I could have fun. I was like, what? I was like, oh crap, we're playing. That was the odds of that, bro. It's pretty crazy. And what's he playing? He's playing Unchained. And I it was fairly odd because I mean no combo, but I just didn't draw the Runick stuff. Like I didn't have enough Runicks to go, but I was like, okay, this should be enough. I leave the Crimson for his turn so I could draw twice. One for Arriving Light and one for Regained, right? So I draw one, I draw Talent, so that's pretty bad. So he goes Tour Guide, chain that, negate that. Because I still have Called By at this point, because I have, it's against Unchained. I have Called By as well. And I was like, oh, Revive, draw a card, draw it. And then it was pretty much over. I was like, oh, okay. And then Kashtira is an interesting matchup because, for one, they main deck Shifter, which is devastating for this deck because everything gets banished, so you do not get your Runick spells into the graveyard. So your Bystials are... Oh, there's a way to manage with Bystials, I guess, because you can banish their Shifter, and then you summon Stardust and like a Baron, and then set your Runicks, and then like board apart that way, and hopefully maybe like... But even then, it's a bit of a struggle, but... He didn't open up Shifter, so we go for the board. I draw into Nib. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. The 1-of Nib, the Royal Nib. Yep. This is so cool right here. Go for Batter. This is a cool line here, because I reborn a Stardust. I'm gonna get Regained anyways, and that's how I revive the Batter, which is huge. Go for SMSD and face place Regain, and this is your general board here. The best board is probably keep having this Batter as well. Well, no. Typically, the best board you possibly can make would be with the Baron on top of this, and then you're reviving your Batter. Well, that's like really insane hand. But like a standard board is just gonna be double SMSD with all this, and then graveyard. That's crazy. Banishes that. I have to go pop. Okay, it's fine. Yeah. MSD coming back in phase, like, just no way. And then we go up against Snake Eye. Okay. There was a few games of Snake Eye that I just shouldn't have lost. I just timed out. I was like, wow, pretty hectic. But this is gonna be a good game here. This is gonna be one of those boards that's like, it's similar to the Rescue-ACE where I was like, okay, well, let's see how far we can get. Because it's very dependent on how your opponent interacts with you and where they interact. Because that'll determine whether you can capitalize, right? Because if they anticipate correctly, then they'll trade equally, right? So they'll end up on top because they have established a board, right? So they know exactly what they have for the following turn. Whereas you break that board and try to establish your game plan. So you need them to make a misstep, a misplay, or just interacting correctly, just so you can capitalize. And this is what happens here, which is insane. Here's for the whale. I get rid of his SP. Then he goes. No, I get rid of his IP, but he gets good for SP anyways. But it's fine. I get in-phase search. Go to Balion. The Balion's gonna start me into a Druid because that threatens. Like, it gets rid of his Link Rebo. It gets rid of his Witch. It gets rid of gets rid of a body on board, which is pretty insane. So what I want to do, I want to make sure that I don't use a Runick because I want to use my battle phase. I want to make sure I use my battle phase. I'm trying to right here. I drew because I wanted to draw into evenly matched. If I drew evenly matched, I would be in a far better position than what I needed to be with me trying to, like, as far as I did. Go for this. He imprims here. I was like, that's okay. That's pretty good. And then I'm like, oh, let's go chaining control, right? Because I can pick his board apart. I send the whale. He can't go princess because I protect it, and then I just, anyways. But it doesn't matter. It was inevitable. I was gonna use chaining regardless, and then I just banish the princess, banish his flame bird, and set 2 called by, and Snake Eye and called by don't really mix well, so like it's pretty good. And it's like a pop out target, and I just banish it. I'm like, this should be fine. Like, this should be insane. I have Nib as a backup. How crazy is that? And he just picks my extra deck apart. Like, what is that? Wild. The deck list. I ended up cutting some of the cards. Like Baldric was initially at 3, Evelyn was at 3, but Baldric is like the worst Bystial. Like, the main reason I was maxing it out is because I wanted to see it. But seeing as how the Master Duel algorithm works is like, it just gives you 1-ofs. Like standard, you get 2 1-ofs always. So I was like seeing Bystials anyways. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just take away the worst Bystial. So I'm seeing it anyway, so it's fine. And then double Evenly because I was seeing Evenly a bit too much. And it's still there. It's still at 2. Ash, I don't feel like Ash is needed. But you could play it, but I didn't feel like it was a necessity. Because you don't really need to, like, Ash the Maxi. Yeah?